This is The Rumor Report with Angela Yee on The Breakfast Club.
So listen up.
Well, Joe Rogan is now apologizing for his repeated use of the N-word on his Joe Rogan Experience show during several different episodes. Now, he did say that it looks horrible even to him. It's a video of clips taken out of context, he says, of him of 12 years of conversations on his podcast. It's all smushed together. And he said that most people believe there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And he says he does agree with that now. Here is what else he had to say.
I was also talking about how there's not another word like it in the entire English language, because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it in so many different ways. Like if a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it and it could be a punchline. It could be a term of endearment. It could be lyrics to a rap song. It could be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word, but it's not my word to use. I never use it to be racist because I'm not racist.
All right. I mean, and I agree, he should not be using that word at all.
Yeah, it's just another example of why white people should never use the N-word. I know it's in songs and black people use it as a term of endearment, blah, blah, blah. Whatever reason folks use to justify it, but just don't. Just don't use the word.
Now, another clip that he addressed was a video where he's calling a black neighborhood Planet of the Apes. He said it was around the time that he watched that film, and he said it was in an effort to make his story entertaining. Here's what he said.
There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia, and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we got dropped off in this all-black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining, and I said we got out, and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. I was just saying there's a lot of black people there. But then I went on to talk about what a positive experience it was and how much fun it was to go to see this movie in a black neighborhood.
All right, so for context, here is the actual audio of the Planet of the Apes conversation in the black neighborhood.
He takes us there. We get out. And we're giggling, oh, we're going to go see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, dude. We walked in the door, and there was no white people. There was no white people. Planet of the Apes didn't take place in Africa. That was a racist thing for me to say. But you see what I'm saying. Everybody was super cool. You know how people always complain that black people talk to the movie theater and talk to the screen? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But it's good.
It adds to the experience.
Yeah, if what you know, and like, so the way I felt like, I'm like, look, I'm in their neighborhood. This is how they go to the movies. Who the am I to be offended by how they like to go to the movies?
I think him saying that he walked into Planet of the Apes. I think that was the thing, right?
Well, I think they were saying that it was like he was in Planet of the Apes when he got dropped off in a black neighborhood. Then he acknowledged that what he said was racist.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you've been in this business long enough as a broadcaster, you said something stupid. You said something that would be deemed problematic at some point. But when those things come back up, what can you do?
You got to apologize and take accountability for those things. Now, Spotify is still standing by Joe Rogan. Daniel Ek, who is the CEO, addressed those comments. He said they were incredibly hurtful and inconsistent with company values, but he did not believe that silencing the podcaster was the answer. And so Joe Rogan has also vowed to do better when discussing matters related to the pandemic, because this is how this all started, too, by the way, because of him being irresponsible when it comes to dealing with COVID. And there was also that video compilation that NDRE posted of him using the N-word that was widely shared on social media that he even said sounded awful and horrible. So they did remove a number of episodes from Spotify. More than 100 episodes has been scrubbed from the podcaster's library. And so there's a website that tracks the show that shows that.
Like I always say, you can't tell folks what to be mad at. Like, just because your intent wasn't malicious or your intent wasn't to offend, we can't tell folks how to react to the words that come out of your mouth. So you just got to deal with whatever comes your way when you say what you want. But I do want to know, what do folks want to happen? Like when these old sound bites come out, right? You know, he apologized for them. What do you want to happen? Because this isn't the first time and won't be the last time, we hear a white person using the N-word in context, out of context, quoting rappers, quoting comedians, whatever it is. So what do you want to happen next?
With just Joe Rogan or in general?
Joe Rogan or just in general, because this can happen to anybody at any given time if you've been in this business long enough. Broadcaster, rapper, comedian.
Like you said, you can't control how people react. So you work for a private company. They're going to make the decision ultimately on what they decide to do. So they pulled some of the episodes, but they're still standing by him. And I think,
as they should, because they knew all of this was before he even did the deal. So they knew that.
And then people have a right to be offended. I'm going to be honest, I've never listened to an episode of Joe Rogan ever.
I have. I listen to Joe
I know
Rogan
you have,
all
but
the time.
I haven't. So it's hard for me to say an opinion on somebody who I've never.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing.
I don't listen to too many. I've listened a couple of times, but also I don't know him. You know what I mean? And the people that seem like they know him say he's not a racist, say he's a good dude. So, I mean, what do you stand by?
I don't know him personally. I met him twice. You know what I mean? But I don't think he's racist. I've done his show. I met him at my man Andrew Schultz's wedding. I don't think he's a racist.
All right. Well, some people did get backlash for saying just that. Now, Andrew Yang wrote, I don't think Joe Rogan is a racist. The man interacts with and works with black people literally all of the time. Do I know black friends of Joe's who would swear by him? Yes, I do.
Jesus Christ.
I got a black friends.
I mean,
That's
so
not
we
the
can't
word.
say I don't know if somebody's racist or not. I just have no idea what goes on. But
he's
can
right.
you say racist things and not be racist?
But I do
Yes.
think it's wild that if you look at like Joe Rogan and then you say, okay, well they just scrubbed his old episodes, and then
Some
you
of
look at
them,
somebody
not a
like,
lot. There's a lot of
then
episodes.
you look at
just some
somebody like Whoopi Goldberg who gets suspended for 2 weeks.
Hold on. You said something that's very important just now.
Sounds wild.
Can you say racist things and not be racist? Depending, right? Because you can say a slur, right? You can say a gay slur and not be homophobic, be homo ignorant.
Correct.
Because a lot of times when we used to use that gay slur back in the day, it wasn't in reference to somebody's sexuality, right?
That's true. That's
you
facts.
know? So, yeah. You can sometimes these slurs come out of your mouth and it don't mean that you're that thing.
But let me ask you a
But
question.
Joe Rogan knew he couldn't use that word because he even said it's a unique word because one group of people can use it and another cannot.
That
But then he
during
was
his
using
apology,
it.
yeah.
But he was using it anyway because I think that's why he said he had been discussing it.
What about? I mean, I'm just throwing things out there because I'm just using examples. Like we've seen things in entertainment. Like we've seen, Vince McMahon use it on WWE in a sketch. We've seen Larry David do it on Curb Your
Howard
Enthusiasm.
Stern.
Howard Stern was wild, but that's a whole other thing. But yes, I mean, what's the logic there?
I'm just trying to figure out how somebody could use a gay slur, nothing happened to them, and then Whoopi could say something out of context and say something wrong, get corrected, and get suspended. She didn't say a slur.
To
without
Yee's
pay.
point, what did you say about the company?
Yeah, people have a decision.
That's right.
And you work for a private company and they pay you and they can make whatever decision they
That's
want to
right.
make based on their own analogy.
And that's why I say free speech is not free. There's a price to everything that comes out of your mouth, and you can't name that price.
All right, well, that is your
can't.
rumor report. I'm sure we'll discuss more.
Who you giving your donkey to, man?
4 after the hour was a person that could not name the price of mayonnaise. All right? You would never know what mayonnaise can cost you.
All
I've been
right.
trying to tell y'all about mayonnaise for years on this damn radio. We'll talk about it 4 after the hour.
All right, we'll get into that next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.